so much for coming back. 2 weeks ago, we had a session, a very informative session about how to be prepared just in case we encounter that unfortunate moment where we have to be in front of an ICE official. What is it that we need to do? What are our rights? And how can we maintain ourselves safe in our own space? Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to guarantee that a family that could be going through some sort of deportation or family separation, making sure that they're prepared and confident uh, to face a situation of an unfortunate situation. Once again, today we have our colleague from Chile, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. And this is the community education manager for CHIRLA, Mr. Winston Leiva. He'll be talking to us about what are the next steps, what resources we can have just in case we encounter a situation like that. Welcome, Winston. Always a pleasure to share a space with you. And we are opening the mic to you now. The microphones are open to you so you can share that important information. Thank you, Adolfo, and thank you to everybody and PIQE. Honestly, this is our second workshop. Thank you to everybody that is logging in, all the community and members. And but thank you, PIQE, for allowing us to be here. Just like Adolfo mentioned, the first workshop was about how to know our rights and how to interact and how to make sure our rights are honored. This workshop will teach us how to continue to knowing our rights, how to be prepared, how to create step by step a plan, an emergency plan, a family emergency plan with a family preparation plan. We have a lot of information today, a lot of information, but we have reduced it to 5 fundamental steps. And we will also share with you about not only does CHIRLA provides great services, but there are other organizations that can also help you, and for example, Orange County and in other areas too. So we will begin with the informative workshop of this evening. And if you can allow me, we will share the screen. Just like Adolfo and our PIQE colleagues have informed to you, the workshop will be about how to create a family preparation plan. We know that part of the preparation is not to just have knowledge and knowing about what our rights. We have to have documentation. We have to have information about this plan. This plan is fundamental. It's key. So we will begin with this, and this is what we will cover today. This is the agenda, and these are the bullet points that we will cover as part of our workshop. We will start with, for whoever doesn't know us yet, or were not present in the last workshop as to who we were, how we lead this this fight, this struggle, what type of victories as organization we have experienced, and thanks to other organizations too, what other victories have we been able to accomplish? And the fourth one is the 5 steps to create a family preparation plan. It's only 5. They're only 5. Each step consists of a lot of information. We will do it in a very in a very structured way to explain to you how we will create this family preparation plan. Just in case, worst case scenario, someone is arrested and family members know exactly what the plan is and they have it in hand. And last but not least, we will close this workshop sharing with you what type of services as organizations do we provide and what resources or what type of resources do other organizations can share and that could be available for you. in case you're in Orange County, Riverside County, or maybe San Bernardino County. We will start. And for the people that doesn't know who we are, CHIRLA was founded in 1986, and ever since, our mission has been the same, is to be able to achieve social justice, inclusive for immigrants. And us as immigrants, we contribute a lot to this country. We are one of the main pillars of the of this country, even though the administration that we are currently in didn't see it that way. And we are helping build this country. And this has been our mission for almost 40 years. How can we accomplish this mission and this vision? And it is by organizing ourselves. How can we organize ourselves? By building power between each other. That's what we're doing nowadays with the support of each and every one of you, with your collaboration, which is key collaboration and very well respected collaboration with a lot of trajectory. And that is a way we can organize ourselves and build the power to be able to move forward and accomplish that goal and to be able to make sure we have that society justice. And that way, uh, we can be valued as immigrants. We contribute a lot to this country. How have we been able to accomplish this? And what is that we've done as an organization in the last 40 years? We've done it in three ways. And these are three basic ways to explain as to how we have been able to accomplish a lot of things as organization and in what way and what victories. And one of them are we've been advocating in the last 40 years. And also we've educated our communities. We are involved with the community, providing information, just like this evening. And it's also important. It's not only important to educate ourselves, but it's also important to organize ourselves. And just like I mentioned previously, we invite you to know about something that identifies us. We like to interact a lot with our community, and I will take this opportunity to ask everybody this evening. You can put the response and the answer. Out of these three steps, which one are we present because we're advocating, because we're educating, or is it because you're organizing? Out of why are you here? Which one of these three steps are the reasons that you're here? Or maybe it's all three of them, and we will read your response. This is a way, it's a very simplified way as to how we have moved forward with this fight in the last 40 years as an organization, educating, organizing, and advocating. And what is it that we have accomplished? What is it that we have been able to accomplish by organizing ourselves, by advocating, and by educating? And this is a very small list of the victories that we've have accomplished. A lot of these victories, which are the most iconic, the most common, the ones that they've heard a lot, which is to be able to get a professional license from professional licenses for people that are from other countries so they can exercise their careers here. And also the driver's license for undocumented people, which is the AB 60. These are victories that we have been able to accomplish at the courts in the state of California, thanks to this fight and the support from all of you as a community, but also the the strategic collaboration as organizations. And this way is the way that we will be able to advance and make sure that we can uh, proceed as a community and be able to accomplish that mission and believe and create a society that is more justice and to make sure that it also includes us. And this is the way that we've been able to accomplish. So this is just part of the big list. These are part of the fruits that we've been able to produce in the last 40 years. And we talked about the topic of this workshop, how to create a plan, a family emergency plan, or a family preparation plan. We live in very difficult times as an immigrant community, as a working community, and we live in very difficult moments. Being prepared doesn't mean just to know what our rights are. It is also important to be prepared in all aspects so we can always resolve any type of emergency. And this space in this workshop will focus only on how is it that we can create this family plan. And this family plan has to be created with intention, and we have to take all the time that we need to take to be able to know how to answer quick and effectively and in an anticipated way. How to create a family plan. Step one, we will talk about documentation. Documentation, documentation, documentation. It's very, very important. Documents will help to be able to start a legal defense, and they will also help you to identify yourself. It'll help you for everything. And we'll talk about this step. This is about documentation. What important information is that you need to carry with you at all times and with all your family. This information has to be shared with all the family, and all the family has to know whoever lives in that home has to have a copy of this family plan. What is this? What does this information include? It includes names. Yes, names. For example, your name, your complete name, the minors, so the name of all minors, names of all the spouses, brothers, whoever lives in that home, their names are all important. Their full name, their telephone numbers, they're very, very important. The telephone number of all the adult members in that household and the minors that maybe have the adequate age to use a phone, uh, all the phone numbers. Everybody has to have everybody's phone numbers and their date of births. As you can see on the screen, you'll see the pamphlet, the bulletin, where it includes the list of documents and important contacts. These are the contacts that you can download from our website, and it'll give you an extended list of documents that we consider that are very important as part of this family plan creation. And when it comes to important information, this could be medical information from all the people that live in that household. Why? Because let's say that if someone is arrested by ICE and they are deported, there are people that were depending of another person in a if they were depending on someone to care for them for a medical situation, it's very important, especially if you have a condition, a medical condition, or if they're taking medication. It's very, very important that everybody knows, so everybody is aware, and that way, uh, whoever has that way everybody knows and aware of their medical necessities and also their financial status, contact information, also embassy phone numbers from their country of origin. We will share those numbers as well. The embassies here in the south part of California towards the end of this presentation, but this information is very, very important for you to have with you, and also the contact information of your country's embassy. Also, legal services, phone number of an immigration attorney, or the phone number of CHIRLA, or any other organization's phone numbers that we will share down the line. Number one, please have all the important documentation. And this step also includes what type of documents, not only information, but documentation that are very, very important. These documents include date of birth, copies of birth certificates of all the adults that live in the household, including the minors, because this is part of the package that you will need. If a person gets arrested in that household, They'll know all the information of that person that has been arrested to present the adequate information, etc. So this is part of the important documentation as well as passports. Whoever has a passport um, and passports from their country of origin, and we have to make sure that these passports are valid, and we have to make sure that each member has a passport. The that children that are born here or in another country, they need to have their passports with them. Also, immunization records, the kids' immunization records, that's very, very important. Usually in our homes, we're a community that works a lot, and usually there's one member in the household that is assigned to drop off or pick up the kids or take them to the doctor. So what happens that if this parent or if this head of household is arrested, the other parent that doesn't take the kids to school or to the doctor won't have information. So it is very important that this documentation, these kids' documentations that includes immunization records, social security cards, kids' social security cards, kids' ID cards, they have to make sure that they have copies. All the adults in the household have copies of everybody. A declaration, instructions, necessary instruction of childcare. What do we mean by that? We mean that all the parents and children, all those parents that don't have legal protection, but do have kids, minors that were born in the United States, and worst case scenario, one one or the two parents are arrested and deported, if they want, they have to pick who these kids can stay. They have to pick who the kids are going to stay with another family member. There needs to be a declaration, an instruction as to who the kids are going to stay with. Number two. Number two is about the child care. This step requires a lot of information. It requires a lot of planification. And the second step is it's only for those parents or that parent that doesn't have any immigration legal protection and that wishes their kids to stay with someone. Worst case scenario, the parent or both parents are deported to their country and wish that their kids remain in this country and taking advantage of the opportunities of being born here in the United States. This step is for you too. Let's talk about how to create step number two and how to create that plan with your kids. Number one, talk to your kids. Talk to your kids. Once you identify the person that could be in charge of your child, talk to them about who they would be living with in case that happens and where and what's their contact information that you've selected for them. The person that you've identified, if it's a person that's responsible, if it's a person with a lot of awareness of all your kids' needs. So once you have identified the caregiver, it's very, very important that it has to be a person that has to be an adult, responsible, and and this is very important, not only identify one caregiver or the person that's going to take care of the kids, but also it's important to inform that person about what this entire plan is. Just in case, worst case scenario, the person that you have identified as a caregiver knows exactly what the steps are to follow and to be able to obtain access to their plan and take over the responsibility of the child. Make sure that you and your kids memorize the information of that assigned caregiver. Let's say if you as a parent or parents have identified someone in the family or someone that you know that is very, very responsible, make sure that both parents have the caregiver's phone numbers. And also, if your kids have the adequate age, it's important for your kids to have that person's contact information in their own phones. You never know if the parents or both parents that pick up the kids are detained by immigration, it's very important that you as a parent and as kids have that contact recorded in their phones, in their kids' phones as well, just in case one or both parents are arrested. Make sure you collect all the important documentations of your kids. This is very important. This second step, this consists of a lot of information and a lot of planification. What do I mean by collect all the important information from your kids? It's very important because these documents are the ones will the documents that will be given to the assigned caregiver. Because remember, if you as a parent or parents of a family, if you're arrested and deported, if your son or daughter stays with a responsible caregiver, that person needs to know everything that you know as a parent so they can provide the necessary and adequate care for your child, and also consider the possibility of registering if your kids were born in the United States, register them in your country of origin as well. Please consider if 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 you would like to register your kids in your country of origin. And now I understand that 3 days ago there was a news article where a politician was wants to eliminate dual nationality. But this is just a proposal. This is something that this is a consideration that you should take into consideration very seriously. If you can, please register your US born children in your country of origin as well. And the declaration, the sworn declaration. This declaration is for parents or head of households that live in the state of California. Let's talk about what are the specific documents in this second step and the sworn declaration. When you talk about the sworn declaration, this sworn declaration, we've had a lot of questions about it, and the questions that you see on the screen are the questions that have been more frequent in our community, and that is why we're providing these workshops. Our communities, these are the most frequent questions that our community have asked, and we have to make sure that all of you know what to do. That way you are not a victim of fraud. And it's very, very important. One of the questions that they've asked is, who can be the assigned caregiver? If I, as a head of household, who can I assign as a caregiver? It can be anyone. It could be in the family or not in the family. They have to be 18 years or older, and they must complete a form authorizing and accepting to be in charge or be the caregiver of your kids. And it could be a family member or it could be anyone, but they have to be 18 years old. The second most frequent question is if my son or daughter has to live with the caregiver in order for the sworn declaration, how can the sworn declaration be valid? And the answer is yes. Your son, daughter needs to live with the caregiver in order for this sworn declaration is valid. Remember, the 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 point is for you to prove as parent, even if you're before you were detained, to show that you have elected someone as an assigned caregiver, with the understanding that your son, daughter will live under that caregiver's responsibility. If your kids or if your child have to live with that caregiver, the response is yes. They need to live with the caregiver. And another frequent question, if the sworn declaration if the the caregiver authorization of sworn declaration, does it have to be notarized? And that's very, very important. And please listen to the response for this question. The sworn declaration for the caregiver authorization here in California does not need to be notarized. Pay attention with this because they will want to charge you. A lot of notaries, with all due respect to all our professional notaries, you do not, this sworn declaration or any other notarized, any other sworn declaration, if you live in the state of California, sworn declarations do not have to be notarized. You do not have to pay. These sworn declarations are free. You can download them from the website from CHIRLA, and there's other organizations that offer this sworn declaration and as well as school districts. Remember, the sworn declaration does not have to be notarized, and you don't, and because of that, you do not have to pay absolutely nothing. Another frequent question is, do we have to submit this sworn declaration to the school or the medical providers, my kids' medical providers right now, and ask them to keep it in a file? No, you don't have to turn it into the school or the medical providers until your son, daughter lives with that caregiver or that person that you assigned. So these are questions that we wanted to share because these are the most frequent questions about the second step as to how to create and how to obtain a sworn declaration for the child care here in California. One of the main points about one of the the most important things are the children's documentation. What do I mean by this? You see the immunization record. If there's a passport, remember, if you have a if there's a short-term plan or a long-term plan, you will need a passport. And also, just like you can see on the screen, there are kids plan. It's also important that if your kids are part of a program, a school program, or after school program, or they're part of a sport team at the school, or they go to the gym, that information is part of that plan. And you need to share that with that assigned caregiver. That way, your kids can be responsible and continue dropping them off and taking them to those activities that they were already part of. And as you can see on the screen, uh, m- birth certificates, if they were born here, and also uh, school records, school transcripts, and also information, medical information, or the doctor, the primary care physician that's seeing your kids or that frequently sees your kids for their uh, frequent check-ins or doctor's visits. This is a brief example of all the important documentation in the second step. Let's talk about the third step. What's the third step? And this third step, and I want to really highlight the main points. This is how we are constructing and building this plan, this family preparation plan. We already covered two steps. Now we're going to cover the third step. In this third step, it is very important that you take the time take the time to schedule a legal consultation to consider what legal options you have the right to as a parent and whichever other, just in case there's any other adult in the household. Why is this important? Because number one, identify and consult with an attorney that you trust, or it can be a community organization like CHIRLA or any other organizations can offer these consultations with our attorneys. Part of this third step is to how to consider your legal options. You also have to understand something to avoid being a victim or immigration fraud victim, and who can give you legal guidance and who cannot. Attorneys with an immigration license, if these people have to be qualified and prepared to give you a consultation, a legal consultation. However, notaries are not, they do not have a license and they're not prepared to give you legal advice, legal immigration advice. This is important. to know because if you want to have a consultation with someone, you know you're going with an attorney and a licensed immigration attorney. Do not go with notaries for immigration legal advice. And now, whoever has whoever has a consultation scheduled or had a consultation, it's important to keep in mind to anticipate what is it that you can expect when you go get a legal consultation. If you go to a legal consultation, and during that consultation, the attorney identifies an opportunity about starting a process, this is what you can anticipate if this is the case. Number one, if the attorney identifies that there's an opportunity to start a process and you wish it that way, you will sign a contract. And if you sign a contract, remember and remember that you can solicit that contract in your preference language of preference. If you're going to sign a contract to start some sort of legal representation, it's important that you know that you have the right to request that contract in the language that you prefer before you sign it. For example, if you want to request it in Spanish before you sign, so you know exactly what service you're exactly paying for and what services are included or are already included in that contract. And also, it's also important that if you book a consultation, remind that attorney to keep you informed about your case. This is very, very important. You have a case. It's important that you take the initiative and be informed about your case step by step. It's important to know that if you're going to a consultation and you're starting a process, you need to request that organization or the attorneys that are providing these legal services to provide you with a copy of all the documents or your file. And you have the freedom to request a copy of all your file or documentations. They should never deny the right to your copies. Those copies are very important for you to have because if, say, for example, worst case scenario, you want to change your attorney, you have your entire file with you to transfer over to another attorney. And it's important that the contract and all the presented documentations are presented with your name. And this third step, when we talk about when you need to consider your legal options as part of your preparation and part of this family preparation plan, you might maybe say I had a consultation about a year ago, maybe a couple months ago, and nothing happened. However, it doesn't matter if you just had a consultation. It's important for you to go back and request another consultation, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, it's because we already established that once you go to a consultation, it's a way to identify if there is a possibility for you to be represented and start a process, especially nowadays with this current situation. However, if you go to a consultation, point number two, it's how you can identify if there's an opportunity for it's important to contemplate maybe some reliefs, maybe immigration affirmative reliefs, like for example, family petitions where the American citizens can sponsor spouses, children, uh, permanent residents. They can probably sponsor spouses, children, daughters, sons that are minors or um, adult children that are over 18 that are single. And sometimes they can contemplate the um, the spouse, the daughters, the sons, whoever have been, if, say, for example, they were a member of the armed forces, some of the reliefs that could be analyzed And that could be a possibility to help as to be part of an assistance. They can request like a U visa. These are for victims of violent crime, and if that crime took place in the United States or inside the US. And also, there's, for example, uh, affirmative immigration reliefs, and that includes the VAWA. These are for the people that have been abuse victims or domestic violence victims, or if they present a case or fulfill the requisites, they can do a self-petition. They can send the petition and start a process for this type of relief. And there's also asylum for five different reasons: race, religion, nationality, public opinion, and social group. The T visa, this is for human trafficking survivors, and the law of registration. These are for the people that have lived in the US and came to the US since January 1st, 1972. This is part of the third step. This is how, if you've never had a consultation, go request a consultation, consider what your legal options are, and the attorney will consider if there's some sort of relief, an affirmative relief, immigration relief that where you could probably meet one of these requisites. And I'll tell you why this step is very important. If your attorney determines that there is no opportunity for an affirmative relief in your case, this is the second reason as to why it's important for you to consider your legal options. Because worst case scenario, if you are arrested, detained, and you want to stay in the country and you want to fight for your case, then in that consultation, you can also ask questions, consult with your attorney as to what's the worst case scenario if you are detained and what is it that you can do. One of the examples, and these are just examples that I want to share. This is not a legal advice. These are just some of the defensive reliefs that exist uh, for people that are fighting a deportation. For example, the application of certain cancellation situations for permanent residents, or maybe people that were assigned for deportation. And we also have the 42B, which is a application cancellation application for the adjustment of status for certain residents that are not permanent. These are the for the residents that don't have no protection. This relief could probably help them, especially for those who want to fight a deportation in case they fulfill certain requisites. And we also have the uh, maybe a relief for people that are trying to apply for asylum, and Convention Against the Torture for people that can probably present a case and proof that they cannot go back to their country of origin because it could be they're probably run the risk of losing their life. Or if not, during this step, it's important to consider your legal options. And remember, worst case scenario, if you are detained, if there's a possibility to request a bail opportunity, it's important to create this family plan because worst case scenario, if you're detained and there's a possibility to request some sort of bail, this is one of the packages that you can prepare yourself with. The attorney would have to submit the motion, the bail motion. He will need part of this. The attorney will request sponsors letters. And what does this mean? What does a sponsor letter means? These are, letters from people who are American citizens or residents that they and stating that explaining who you are and what your character is and what type of person you are, and also entities. What do entities mean? This means that if there's a person that is detained and would like to request bail, and part of the package is this person or the attorney will request documentation that proves if you have family that are born in the US or naturalized US citizens. They will You will request also paperwork as to how you've been part of the community, how long you've been in the US, and more letters, or letters from organizations that you've been part of in the US. Why is this very important? Why is it important for you to consider the importance of a consultation? And why is it important to go back and revisit that consultation to see what your legal options are, to see if there's a possibility in case you are detained? Let's talk about the fourth step to create this family preparation plan. The fourth step, we're already doing it right now. This is the one that this is the part where you have to know your rights. You need to know them clearly so you can exercise them. What do you have to do? Participate in community forums, workshops, which is what we're doing right now. Learn how to navigate in case you face ICE. How can you navigate that situation? How can you uh, conduct that situation? We'll talk very briefly. We have the graphs as to what is that you need to do. What happens if ICE shows up to your house? The rule is not to open the door, not even, don't even open the lock. Why? Because if you try to open it, they'll try to kick the door and argue that they thought that you were allowing them to go into your house. Do not give them a reason to think that they had authorization. If they give you a judicial order, which is like the one you see on the screen, in the previous workshop, we already explained what type of order you need to request in order for it to be valid. How to identify these warrants or orders? For example, the administrative order and the judicial order. We already covered that in the previous workshop. Part of this fourth step, what to do if ICE comes to your job. And these are the main points that are very fundamental. Do not try to run. I want to emphasize on something. I want to be very clear with this. Ladies and gentlemen, if worst case scenario, ICE shows up, do not try to run. If you try to run, the ICE official will use that against you and have a reason to arrest you and not ask questions. Keep calm. I know it's hard to understand that, but you need to stay calm and know how to exercise your constitutional rights, which is the Fourth and Fifth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment, if you were in the previous workshop, the Fourth Amendment was how to uh, deny authorization to be to have them search for your items. And the Fifth Amendment is that you have the right to remain silent. And what if you're in a public place? So if they arrest you in a public place without a order, just like we've seen in previous cases with other people, legally you're not supposed to be arrested, but these officials, unfortunately, they have violated the constitutional rights in our communities. However, it is important to highlight that for all of us to know what the fourth right is and the fifth right. And we have to be very cold about this. I have the right to remain silent. You don't have to answer any questions, and you have the right to not authorized to be searched. And say, I do not consent for you to search me. That is very, very important. That's the fourth step to it's important to construct your family plan. And also, this is a message, and this is part of the information for example, if you're a business owner, there's a way to protect your business and your employees. There's a way. Let's talk. If you If you're a business owner, a small business owner, the employers have to assign a private area, not open to the public. Like, for example, here on the screen, we see an individual that is um, putting a sign on the door that says private area, rest area, break area, private access. You know, as an employer, it's important to put signs that are very visible and that it explains that it's a private area. Please talk to an attorney as a business owner. Talk to an attorney to know what type of signs and how to set them up and where to set them up. Let's assign a team member as well. It could be an executive team member in the business, or it can be an employee that has a lot of knowledge about this and would like to learn the necessary steps to know exactly what to do just in case ICE shows up to your business with a judicial order. That employee has to be confident, knowledgeable, and know how to manage this situation. And also, always have your doors locked between the waiting room and the reception area. This is very, very important. And also, it's important not to open doors that are on the sites that can compromise the areas that are private areas. These are for business owners. These are some steps and recommendations for business owners and that you can implement in your area of work and to protect your employees. And let's talk about the fifth step. The fifth step, and this is the last step, and this will allow us to create an emergency fund. A plan, a family preparation plan. This is how to create a fund. And we have to know how how to save. We know the situation, the current situation that is going on, and because of that, sometimes, we need a legal representation and it could be expensive, and so it's important to know an emergency fund. Say, for example, just worst case scenario, if you get detained. What is a budget? A budget is basically a plan for your money, how to save, how to build it. And part of this budget, how to build this savings or budget consists of six steps that are very basic. Calculate the net income. So say, for example, the entire amount that you received after taxes. If you calculate what the monthly net income is, then the second step is for you to do a list of all your expenses. Write down what you spend your money in, look at the bills, look at the receipts, look at the debit card statements, credit card statements to see what your expenses are. Step one is to calculate what your net income is after taxes month by month. Second step is make a list of all your expenses. Number three, how to establish realistic goals. You have to think about what you really need and short and long-term goals. We'll talk about the goals in a little bit. And what this means is what is it that you need and what you want? There are two different things. What you need are the most necessary things, and what you want is not necessary. To be able to save, this is what we need to do. And the fourth step is to create a plan. How do we create it? Literally is by creating this savings plan. We can do it by creating a formula, 70, 20, 10% formula. I don't like numbers a lot, but we'll talk about numbers right now. It's very, very simple. Let's create a plan by using this formula. It's one of the formulas it was one of the formulas that is mostly known, and they help, and they're very simple to understand. The fifth step is to adjust the expenses to in order to stay within the budget. And also, if it's possible to adjust some expenses, you can do that. Sometimes we buy something new and then, we're stuck in something stressful. So sometimes we have to adjust our expenses. Sixth step, every 6 months, we have to check and revisit our regular budget, the list of expenses that we have, and see if there have been changes so you can adjust your budget. Let's talk about the fourth. Let's go back to the fourth step, how to create this fund. So hands on. Let's get hands on. What's the formula? 70, 20, 10%. Let's see. The savings formula. The 70, 20, 10 formula, if you see it on the left side of the screen, the 70% of all your income, if you see it on the screen, assuming that if all your monthly income, if your income is $1,000, just to make it easier. So if you use the formula that we see on the left, the 7% of $1,000 is 700. Those $700, I'm going to use them for basic needs. What needs am I talking about? Basic needs, like for example, rent, food, public services, public transportation. Those $700, that's a 70% of the $1,000 that I get month by month. That will cover the 70% will cover my basic needs. Now, after using the $700, I have $300 left. Out of those $300, I'm going to use 20% of it every month, which is 20% for what I wish to go out, entertainment, take the family out, maybe a movie, and that would be approximately 200. And then after taking the family out, going to the movies or entertainment, you're left with 10% of the $1,000 that you saved, which is equivalent to $100. That 10% will be literally your savings. You will not touch that or whichever debt. Just in case they arrest us or detain us, we know that we've been saving a 10% of the entire income, which is an emergency fund. And that this is the way we can be very well prepared. And this is a family preparation plan in 5 steps. Simple 5 steps on how to create this. Let's talk about now that we know about the 5 steps and how to create a family planification. What are the services and resources that you can find through CHIRLA? If we start from the left, CHIRLA has their immigrant assistance line. You can call there. We will share the phone number in just a few moments. You can talk to us to request references. So if you don't know about an immigration attorney that is trustworthy, you can call us to request references. To know if what your rights are. That's very important. We can bring these workshops to your community. And also through the immigrant assistance line, you can request information about legal services or look for consultation, how to find education about what your rights are, and also housing, health, immigration fraud, services, and resources. What do you mean by references? So in the middle, you see the legal services. The immigration legal services are very extensive. These include permanent residency, American citizenship, permit renewals, services for DACA, legal services for tenants, whoever needs a representation for tenants, legal services for workers in the work area for people that have been detained or have been detained by ICE, and workshops for pro bono. It will teach them how to fill out your own application. And last but not least, which is one of my departments, how to get to know your rights. This is what we're doing right now. We're bringing the community workshop to you through workshops like this one, presentations, and collaborations, just like we're doing right now with PIQE. And this is a brief uh, tour as to what the CHIRLA services are. But like I mentioned, we will also share. There's other organizations, good organizations that can provide you resources and services. Um, if you go to the CHIRLA website, you can click on where it says Conoce tus derechos or Know Your Rights. You can download it in your own language. And let's talk about what resources and services are there as well. The Immediate Response Network, the Los Angeles County, which is CHIRLA. If you call us, if you see ICE, we'll respond to document that. If you're in the Inland Empire County, you can call the 909. Embassy information. Embassy information, for example, in Mexico. It's the one that you see on the screen, and also the Guatemala Embassy, and also the information for El Salvador Embassy here in Los Angeles. So it is very important to know all these numbers. These are the emergency numbers that you can get in touch with your respective embassy. And on the right, we want to include as well names, organization names that are very good. Like, for example, Carecen organization, Public Council. We have the Inland Coalition for Immigrant Justice, which is in the Inland Empire County. Immigrant Defenders Law Center. They are in Los Angeles. We also have Catholic Charities of Orange County. This is in Orange County. And these are resources that additional resources and that are available to you. Um, and embassies and information of embassies that can help you and guide you. And and if you ask yourself, how can you help or join the fight, you can share this information with other people. Key is stay informed about these workshops. Support organizations that already work with immigrants and have helped immigrants. You can join the immediate response network or create ICE reports, submit ICE reports in the community. Or if you see ICE in your community, you can submit a report through this website. Your safety is first, and another way that you can help and how you can plant the seed is by becoming a member of CHIRLA, just like you see it in the screen. And with this, I conclude my presentation and I am opening the chat for questions. And if you want to go directly to the CHIRLA website, you can scan the QR code that you see on the screen that I'm just sharing right now, and I'm sharing the immigrant assistance line from CHIRLA. This is the phone number that you can call with any questions or emergencies, or if you just want to visit our website, you can scan the QR code and it'll take you to our website. And this is the end of our presentation, and we are open to questions. We're opening the chat. Thank you, Winston. A lot of good information that helps a lot, Winston. We have a question here. It says, if there's an unfortunate situation, uh, if the father of my child is not present in my child's life, how can I make sure, how can I make sure how can I make sure that they are registered in the country of origin? Good question. When when one of the parents are not present for whatever reason, if the other parent is not present, it's important to share this information with your country of origins embassy. Explain to them that what the circumstance is as a parent here in the US and explain the reason why the other parent is not present. The embassies, very good question. Every embassy has a legal a counselor. They have a department where they do civil process. It's the Department of Civil Process, where the embassy expert will help you to create and let you know what you need, what documents you need in case one of the parents are not present, is not present. And the next question is, I have a friend that was part of the shooting in a mall. Can they qualify for a U visa? Excellent question. Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate everybody because you have been paying a lot of attention. So the answer is, first of all, I hope that they are doing well. And number two, these are the steps for that answer. Every person that has been a victim of a crime or a violent crime, it's very important. Step number one, make sure you have a police report. It's very, very important. Number one, the police report. And I want to remind you, and we've learned this in the first workshop, the local police cannot ask you about your immigration status. That is prohibited it's prohibited to all local police officers. And that is why it's important to obtain the police report first. Once you have the police report, run to an attorney immediately and a trustworthy attorney. That way, the immigration attorney can analyze if you qualify for the U visa. It's important for you to request that report and to go with an attorney, immigration attorney, to see if that was a crime that can open a possible requisite. Or we have another question here. What do I do to request an American passport? Um, what do I do to request a U.S. passport for a child whose parent is not present or has passed away? I'm assuming that the father, the other parent that is present, maybe they're not U.S. citizens. However, the mother that disappeared or is gone was a U.S. citizen. Yes. First of all, let's start with the minor. If the minor is U.S. citizen or if he was naturalized. If they're U.S. citizens or naturalized, the good news is that yes, they can obtain a U.S. passport. To obtain a U.S. passport, let's say there's only one parent. It is recommended to have information at hand, or if you have information of what happened to the other parent, to determine how to get a U.S. passport for the minor, or if both parents are absent. And I'm like to think that because he's a minor and the parents are absent, there was a tutor already that is a legal tutor. And that documentation of that legal tutor that is assigned as an assigned caregiver can take the responsibility as the guardian or parent uh, to a court document that can indicate that that's the person that is assigned to care for them. And that is a way for that person to represent that minor so he can obtain his U.S. passport. I didn't have that question clear, but I want to think that that's the scenario. Thank you. And if you have any other questions, you can include it in the chat so we can answer the best way possible. We have another question here. If there's an attorney phone number in Sacramento, this person needs to present to the immigration offices and he's going by himself. Yes, In Sacramento, we have one. But one of the things that I want to mention is that I'm going to put it in the chat. I'm going to write the phone number for the immigrant assistant line for CHIRLA. This phone number, and it's not 800, it's 888. This is a number that you can dial to call my teammates. They'll give you a list of attorneys. This is what I want everybody to know. Let's have all the phone numbers. We have to be prepared. That way we can give you the proper resource. If you call this number, ask the teammates to provide you with attorneys and organizations in the area of Sacramento. Okay. If my daughter starts, next question, if my daughter started dialysis every day. The question is, in case they arrest us, what can we do for her to continue with her treatment and medication? There's more information to answer that question, and there's more information that we can research, but we can give you a couple of steps and just recommendations. First of all, this is the purpose of this workshop, is to create this plan. How can we set a plan how to create it? Number one, and number two, if you remember, the step where you have to consider what your legal options are. If you go with an attorney, do not wait. Go get a consultation, ask if there is a way, an arrangement. If there's no arrangement for you, the next question is, worst case scenario, if I get arrested, can you represent me? Or what steps should I take? This is a step that we already covered, but please call the immigrant assistant line so you can have that recorded and know exactly what to do. Because, for example, if the minor is a U.S. citizen or if the parent or the parents do not have protection, et cetera, there's more information. So that is why it's important to contemplate what your legal options are and call the phone line. Perfect. And for the people that are asking about attorneys and services, immigration services, please call this number because we don't have. CHIRLA has all the information. They have people that are specialized to answer specific matters based on your questions. So call that number first and foremost. That's the first step for anything. There's another question. What happens if there are people that receive a letter from immigration to abandon the country in order to avoid paying a fine, or else they'll charge them 959 dollars per day. My friend has received. Yes, we found out about those letters that have been sent. As a community, we have to understand some. This administration, unfortunately, wants to find any reason and want to find any means in order for it to abandon the country. And this organization is to prepare to stay. This is our campaign. How do we prepare? Is by knowing all this and getting knowledge about this. That is why it's very important to know that these are one of the 5 steps, and we have to do it. We have to do it. We have to do it. Go get a consultation. Ask an attorney to analyze your case, see if there is a possibility to start a process. How am I going to prepare myself in case I get detained? These are the questions that you need to ask to your attorney. Today, more than ever, have get a consultation. Do not wait to get arrested. That letter, make sure you make a copy of that and present it to the attorney. That is how you will be able to determine if it's a valid letter. We know that executive orders are trying to implement certain things, and so we have to be aware that we need to go to an attorney, get a consultation to see if those documents are valid, and we have to get informed in an adequate way. Go get consultation. More than ever, you need to look for an immigration attorney. Thank you, Winston. Last question is, once I get a U.S. passport, can the child go to Mexico? Now, does she need a letter to travel to Mexico? She's 14. Good question. Unfortunately, no. I don't have the answer to that question. If it depends if both parents live in the US or if there's just one parent, there's a letter. The other parent that could be in another country, they can draft a letter that they are aware of the travel plans for the minor, and that's how they can confirm that he's the father and that they consent. So there's more information. What they can do as well is to request information through the embassy, and it has to be the embassy where the parents' country of origin is, just to make sure and be sure as to what type of documentation needs to be provided. Perfect. Thank you so much, Winston. Thank you so much for all your information. We have anything else that you'd like to add or a takeaway? And also, there's another workshop that's coming up, or if you can talk about what we will cover on the next workshop next week, December 11th, the same time. So you can sign up and be with us. Yes. Thank you, Adolfo. If the takeaway for today is to wish you happy holidays with your loved ones. Now more than ever, we have to rest, enjoy ourselves, be joyful, have peace. Our community has been attacked severely, and it's very important for us to know, to create a good health plan. We have to take care of us emotionally, and now more than ever, we have to get informed. We have to get informed. We have to participate in these workshops. They're very informative. And now more than ever, we have to be updated. Do not fall in our administration's blackmailing. And I want to make an invitation. I want to invite everybody to the next workshop. It's going to be about legal services and citizenship. Now, more than ever, there are members of our communities that want to become citizens. Why? Because they are the ones that will be our voice, the voice of the people that don't have a voice. They will vote to prevent uh, more things like these to happen. Uh, we expect you to be part of the next workshop, so you can also share it with everybody else. Thank you so much, and thank you, Pique, for the space. Thank you, Winston. Thank you for all the information. I know that our parents are very interested and very grateful. And just like you said, for the people that always talk about the next steps, what can we do? For all these people that are in that availability to become U.S. citizens, this is the next step. Because next year is the voting year. It's the year that we can revert the situation that we're in. Maybe we can put a little bit more more pressure against that narrative and 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 also to have that opportunity to submit documentation for our family members that don't have it and to be able to start that process. There's a lot of benefits for citizenship and we want them to be informed. Thank you very much. And something else that they can do, and we expect you in the next workshop next week. Something else that PIQE that that PIQE can do that you can do through PIQE is to advocate for people, uh, um, invite people that can probably represent. On the screen, you have a questionnaire. It'll give you the opportunity to scan the QR code and probably suggest what you would like to learn in the future. What questions were unanswered? Or what would you like to what is it that you want to listen or learn on top of this? Or any suggestions, feedback, or any matters that you would like to learn from? Maybe not just immigration, but maybe other matters when it comes to immigration, family immigration status. We'll give you a couple of minutes to take a picture of this QR code or just scan this QR code and download this questionnaire and and once you finish the questionnaire, you can say goodbye. It was a pleasure to be with you today, and we want to remind you that this informative segment has been sponsored not only by CHIRLA, PIQUE, and the student network of PIQUE, people who have been who have taken the classes and would like to be informed as to what other resources are available out there for the community. Thank you for the space, and thank you for trusting us to share information, relative information, and adequate for our family needs. And with that, please have a good evening, have a good night. We'll see you in the next workshop next Thursday. If not, happy holidays. Be in peace, be joyful, be united, and we have to value that time that we have with them right now.